All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Me here, talking real music in real time for a couple of real people who remain just like you, just like me. All right, so Andy Cohen from CNN last weekend had a really good time. So much so that he decided to say, it's not Journey, because Steve Perry wasn't in the band. Now, keep in mind that CNN was running a rival broadcast to the Dick Clark New Year's Rockin' Eve with the boring and pedantic Ryan Seacrest over on ABC. ABC, of course, was airing the Journey live event when apparently a streamer got loose at the end and apparently bonked Andy Cohen in the head, in which he then proceeded to berate Journey for not being Journey anymore because Steve Perry isn't in the band. Well, where have you been, Andy, for the last 24 years? I mean, this has been going on for a while, but here's the bottom line. There are fans who may or may not have known this fact that Steve Perry wasn't in Journey anymore, and it's opened up the old wounds that weren't completely closed, but at least they were under control. There was just light bleeding, but now here we go again with the nostalgia, the memories. I did it the other day. I posted a video from the Live from Houston concert, which could be one of the great live concert performances the band has ever done. I'd also reference you back to the Captured Live album, which to me is Journey at their super human strength with Greg Raleigh still in the band. Just an amazing live album. The Captured Live album was so much music that people have forgotten about. But in any event, this did open up the can of worms, and a lot of people, again, are starting to second guess everything. And here's why. The band, the current lineup, is not a stable lineup. Who's going to be playing drums, right? Who's going to be on bass? We've had two different bass players, two different drummers. We were told it was going to be Narada and Randy. And now we've got Dean Castronova, who is back, who I love, by the way. I don't have a problem with Dean being back there, but you know, he showed up right before, I think, the band's first big concert over the summer. And now you have Todd Jensen playing bass. You had Marco Mendoza playing bass before that. And then again, where's Randy? Well, Randy had back surgery and he's still recovering still. I mean, that's the word the media keeps putting out there, but there's been no update on that. And then again, Arnell, who during the first, I would say, 10 years of being in the band, which is a long time. He was 10 years in the band. I think he did a great job, and I didn't have the kind of reaction in those first 10 years that I have now when I hear him performing with the band. Now, it's not all bad, and it's not all bad all the time when it is bad, but it's not all good. And I think this catalog demands that somebody be able to sing it to the best of their ability, and to the ability that basically everybody, when they hear it, they go, okay, that's plausible. That's Journey. It's not Steve Perry, but it's Journey, and it's close enough, and we'll take it. We're not asking for Steve Perry, but now people are always going to go back to nostalgia. They're always going to go back to the good old days, hence the Houston concert. But when somebody who's a public figure points this stuff out to somebody and says, hey, it's not Journey. And then Neil Sean says, well, F you, F the haters, because he's trying to maintain that brand and keep it going. And here comes a guy who's basically saying something real old school and probably on the hearts and minds of a lot of people who either didn't drink as much as Andy Cohen or have been saying this stuff for, I don't know, 24 years now. And it's up to Steve Perry. I hate to throw it out there like this, but those guys invited Steve to come back a couple of years ago. Arnell has said on numerous occasions, I think he wants to step aside. I think he knows that, hey, I can't do this anymore. I don't know who can do this. I mean, Arnell could still write a great book and say, look, I lasted longer than any lead singer they ever had. And I was a decent, nice person. I did what they told me to do, which Perry had his own ego, which clashed with John's ego, which clashed with Neil's ego. Apparently it clashed with Steve Smith and Ross Valerie too. But now people are kind of like, okay, I wouldn't mind going back in time. And I wouldn't mind just, hearing Journey at their peak, at their prime. And it's kind of sad, but this is where we're at right now. Now, the band could do something to mitigate some of these issues. Number one, they could get a stable lineup together. Number two, they could get a singer which would help people forget Perry a little bit and not remind people how much they miss Steve Perry. See, that's the difference. What's happening now is when they go out there, people go, wow, do I miss Steve Perry? Now, if they had a singer that was really off the hook decent, people would go, you know what? I miss Perry, but this is pretty good. I like this. Or they might not even say that thing about Perry. They might just say, wow, these guys are good. They're really good. They're really pulling this off. Good for them. And no mention of missing Steve Perry. Now, a lot of it's just psychology, because maybe some people would say, this guy reminds me of Steve Perry, and that's why I like him so much. Or, oh, this guy's just a copy of Steve Perry. You hear that a lot. Vocal, was it doppelganger? They keep cutting and pasting. Arnell, no, he's not. He really is not. He's his own thing. Jerry was closer to Steve Perry. Dean Castronova, when he sings, is closer to Steve Perry. So, I don't know. Did Andy Cohen do the world a favor? No. Did he open up more debate, more discussions, more chat rooms or whatever? People in there, well, hurry up, Journey. Just call Steve and just have him come back. And Steve's in his little town in California, going to the ice cream parlor and just driving around in his super nice Chevelle or whatever it is that he drove around in that last video. I don't know if that's even his car, but he's probably thinking, I'll just continue to make the music I want to make when I want to make it. And he'll watch from a distance, as right now there's a whole bunch of mismanagement going on here. Nobody can really deny that, watching the situation. So the band's management team has to get their act together a bit. And they've got to make some personnel decisions, and they've got to solidify the situation before they go out and do more tour dates. Although, who knows, because we don't know if any of these concerts will go off in the months ahead. Maybe by next summer, but we don't know. So does Journey still have a Steve Perry problem? Yeah, they still have a Steve Perry problem, and it'll never go away. It's just the way things are.